Kelvin, Regina, so good to see you both. Thanks so much for your time.
Good to see
Thanks
you
for
too,
having
man.
us.
You know, Regina, I can't even imagine reading the script for something like this. It's such a big world, aesthetically stimulating. I loved it. Like, what was that script to screen journey like for this? Like reading it and seeing it kind of come to life, so to speak.
It was wild, to be honest. Every time we went to work, we were talking about it, and you step on the set and you're like, visually you see it, and you read it and you're like, this is wild. And then we all had the privilege of hearing, I didn't hear all of it, but I heard a few of the songs. So to know like it was going to be a musical, we shot it in Croatia. So I'm like going to a place I've never been before. So it was wild, but it was great. And it was a big swing, but it was a fun leap to kind of take.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kelvin, good to see you again, man. By the way, it's always great chatting with you. You know, it's interesting, right? Because what interests me is when I watch a movie like this, and you know, Regina talked about like the scale of it, the music and everything, and the blend. I get interested about the conversations that happen with cast, crew, writers, and directors to kind of get to what we see on screen. So, can you talk a little bit about those conversations with your cast, the writers, the choreographers? Are there a lot of conversations while you get on set? Do they happen before you get on set? I'm curious about that.
I think with something so original, there has to be a lot of conversations. And we don't go into like, you know, Regina and I will kind of talk about our characters' backstories just so we aligned on certain things. But most of the time, it's just like you show up and you see the work that they're creating outside of that with like the costume designer, with Geremy, with the hair and makeup team. And then they bring, in the rehearsals, we play, and that's how you get to learn who these people are as well through the action. But it was a lot of fun. I think both of us had a good time. Like, me and like you would talk about the eyebrows, and me with the blue hair, and the music, collaborating with Geremy on the music and making Johnny Fame, and even with the costume designer trying on things. Like, there was so many different versions of Yuri, to be honest, and we settled on what makes it look like Yuri made it in his apartment. So yeah, it's definitely it's a group effort, these people.
Yeah, absolutely. Regina, it's all storytelling at the end of the day. You've worked on a lot of amazing things in different genres. You worked in comedy, drama, and different worlds where you played different characters. I'm wondering how separate are past projects or things like you've done in the past compared to something like this. Like, do mindsets or preparation come from past projects you worked on, like Scary Movie, to something like this? Or are they completely separate once you wrap them specifically?
I think they're completely separate because I think you ideally want to do something different than your other characters. So maybe they're on your don't do that again list. But you know, you always are bringing a piece of you, right? Because something in the characters have to resonate with some piece of you. It doesn't mean that you're like them, but it at least has to have some kind of resonance. So I think it's just things that you haven't played. I think it's just tapping into new parts of yourself rather than things you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelvin, it's interesting, right? Because these films that have these kind of blends of like music and drama and relationships and everything. I mean, you did this with Chevalier as well. Do you get used to doing things like that, like Mufasa, that have kind of the blend of kind of drama and then live action with music, or is it always a new journey for you every time?
I think it's always a new journey because there's always a new surprise element to it. You know what I mean? Like, with Chevalier, it's the period piece of it all. It's the real person that you can't get that much information about creation. And I basically turned him to Prince for me because I was like, okay, this is what I know and this is what I can reference. I think with this, it was being an original piece and not being something I can look up on the internet. I truly had to use my imagination and did just different tools as an actor. The music element also shifts as well because it's one's classical music, sometimes it's pop or like R&B, and then here we are with like a rock sound. So the vocal instrument is also having to stretch itself and make itself vulnerable. And yeah, put yourself out there.
I can't wait to get the soundtrack, and I can't wait for people to check this out on Hulu when it drops. Regina, Kelvin, it was an honor and privilege to speak with you both. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.